one of the biggest mistake that property investors put themselves in is that they're looking for a property deal that's the same street with them or a street after them.
So now when you're looking at a property, once the property is registered into your name, you need to understand that you're going to be carrying all of the costs that come with it.
3, 2, 1, and we are live. We're talking about our favorite topic, which happens to be property investing. So currently what's happening right now is that we're searching for a property to invest in, and trust me when I say that it's taking an arm and a leg in terms of getting that right property. Level, what would you describe what you're going through right now?
Finding a deal has to be one of the most challenging things, right? Especially coming from someone who's introverted, right? Someone who doesn't really like speaking to people. The reason why I'm saying this is that there are a lot of property investors that are investing in the property market, and you find that when you do call the estate agent rather to ask them if the property is still available, chances are the property is sold. Now, if the property is sold, what does this mean for you? It means that you need to go through a whole lot of estate agents to speak to in terms of, do you think that this is the right property to actually be looking at? Now, you said something recently, right? That we have been actually getting better responses from estate agents.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Why do you think you're getting better responses from estate agents right now?
So when it comes to engaging with an estate agent, it's very important to understand, number one, what you're looking for. Because I've discovered that, especially with property investors, it's more of you call an estate agent and you're like, you know what? I'm looking for an investment property, hit me up. Only to find out that what you might want, that's not what they have. So if they are having a specific stock that looks like an investment to them, then ultimately that's going to be your investment. And you don't want to find yourself in that situation. So what we do is that we have a strict criteria when it comes to the specific property that I want that will fit my investment. For instance, with us right now, we are flipping properties. So when it comes to flipping properties, I do not just want any property that is distressed. We've went to, how many viewings have we went? I'm sure about 3. And I'll explain why is it only 3. If you can look at the properties that we've been looking at in terms of do they make investment sense or not, it's more than 40. However, now as soon as I'm saying that I'm going to go for viewing, I want to make sure that everything is aligned. So when I'm saying everything is aligned, I'm looking at the budget, how much we'll be fixing. I'm looking at the numbers. Do they make sense in terms of if I am to sell, will I be able to sell it at that price? So now if I have a criteria and I know that when I go there or when I call the estate agent, I'm going to be asking them these 5 questions, that makes it easier, because last thing you want is viewing 40 properties only to find out that not even one makes sense.
Now, looking at the process, right, of finding a deal, because I know this is a really stressful process, right?
Yeah.
What is that process, or is there a process that you follow that step 1, this is what I think somebody should do in order for them to find the perfect deal?
So a lot of property investors look down on interest rates in terms of, is it really a factor that's going to influence my property journey? If you do not consider how much will you be paying if you took care of your credit before you even applied, there might be even a difference of 500 to $1,000. So it's clear that we need to sit back, understand our credit, understand what can we do to improve it before we even start buying a property. So I think that's where it really starts with number 1, focusing on your interest, right? Focusing on your interest rate.
I mean, if I can also add on to that, right? When you're looking at your interest rates, the best thing to actually do right now is to call your bond originator. So what a bond originator is, it's somebody that's going to be looking at you as an individual. Will you be willing, or would you be able to actually apply for a loan? Now, we have a lot of people that are saying that they want to purchase properties. They go to the market, go through the heartache of being rejected, and then when they finally get that deal that makes sense and want to apply for a loan, they get rejected from the bank. Now, the reason why, or how to actually downscale from having that misfortune, someone can actually go to your bond originator, speak to your bond originator, really understand that how much do you actually qualify for when purchasing a property. Now, I'd want to actually put this up front. When you go to a bond originator and ask them that how much do you qualify for, chances are they won't be giving you the interest rates that you actually qualify for. So what they'll do is that they'll tell you that, okay, you can actually apply for a property that's worth around 800,000. Then with that 800,000, when you really apply for a bond, right, with an offer to purchase, that's when they can actually tell you that, okay, you can qualify for 800,000 at 15% or at 9%, depending on how you are in terms of your interest rates.
Leverman, I want to discuss something, right? I mean, we've had countless engagements, and I want you to look at the psyche part of a property investor who just wants to jump into a deal. The importance of getting that bond originator, because they're at that position whereby I've worked so hard, I want to show them at home that I've really made it, or that my hard work is really paying off.
Mama, I made it.
So what would you really say to this person who's eager to jump into the market, however they do not necessarily understand why is it necessary to get that bond originator?
The main reason why people go out and purchase properties before they even go to bond originator, it might be because of pressure, right? A lot of people are pressured to do something that they do not want to do.
So like my birthday is coming up, or it's close to end of the year,
so I want to purchase a property.
I want to purchase that property, or my wife's birthday is coming up, or our anniversary is coming up. So there's so many reasons why should I jump into it? Why should I jump into being a property investor? So you're about to tell us that why must we put the ABS on?
So when you're looking at a property, right, this is an irremovable asset that you're actually purchasing, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, this is something that you can't return tomorrow and say that I made a mistake, I don't want that property anymore. Now with a watch, you could actually go to somewhere where they sell watches and tell them that you want to purchase a watch, and then tomorrow Neo's watch, and then tomorrow you can go back and tell them that no, I don't want this watch actually, right?
Yeah.
Now they might actually refund you. So now when you're looking at a property, once the property is registered into your name, you need to understand that you're going to be carrying all of the costs that come with it. Now with a property, you need to really sit down and really think about it. Go to professionals and ask them that what is the right way of actually doing it. I'll give you a classic example when you're looking at purchasing a property, but now you're not really sure about the market value. Now, whenever we purchase a property, I need to know what's the market value of the property through Lightstone, right? Now, by the time I go to the estate agent, I already know what is the value of the property. Now, me asking them that, what do you think? Is it possible for me to actually buy and then resell this property? If the agent is like, yes, you can, because the property would sell around 1.1 million, and I saw on my side that the property can only sell for 860,000. Now we have a problem between myself and that agent. Now I won't tell them upfront that I do have a problem with them. I'll go back to my numbers, look at what's actually selling in the market, look at what has been sold in the market, then only tell them that with my research that I got from XYZ, this is what the things are going on. This is what's actually going on. So we had a classic example that happened something like this, right? So we went to view a property, right? Then Pretoria. We went to view a property.
So this was we coming from Joburg, and we drove all the way to Pretoria searching for this deal. This was last week.
So we go to Pretoria, we view this property, right? And with this property, the estate agent tells us that he's sold properties in that area that sold at 1.1 million, and all is well in that market. Now the property was distressed, yes. What we realized is that that property was actually worth 860,000. Now, if you had actually purchased the property based on what the agent was saying, you find yourself in a huge mistake, because now you've purchased the property is registered into your name. However, it doesn't make sense for you to sell it at 1.1 million, which means ultimately you're going to be making a loss, and the estate agent will be okay on their side.
I wanted us to speak about the engagements that we've been having with estate agents, right? It's quite interesting. And I'd say that it's very important for you as a property investor to be upfront in terms of what you're looking for, because that's where we as property investors are like, no, I'm looking for a nice deal. I'm looking for a 20 room. You really need to be upfront to the T, especially when it comes to what you're specifically looking for. If you are looking for something that you can resell, tell them that, you know what, I want to buy it at X amount. Don't be afraid. I want to buy it at X amount. Then I want to put in so much in terms of refurbs, and then I want to sell it at X amount. Is this possible? I think this is where a lot of property investors, we try playing our cards close to our heart that, man, you know what, I'm a property investor and I'd like to buy a property, so what can you do for me? No, we really need to be upfront. At the end of the day, estate agents are human beings, and if anybody does know of a distressed property, please tell us. We really need to get into a deal. As Lebo did mention, we drove up to Pretoria, from Johannesburg to Pretoria, looking for a deal. One of the biggest mistake that property investors put themselves in is that they're looking for a property deal that's the same street with them or a street after them. Trust me when I say that there's a high possibility that you need to travel for that deal. Because now what's going to happen is that you're looking for properties in your area. Yes, there's pros and cons. Let's do this. Let's look at the pros and cons of having a property that makes sense in your area or versus out of your area, right? Let's look at this in a practical sense. If you are struggling to get a property that makes investment sense, right, in your area, does this mean that you're going to search for the next 5 years? Or what if you just put in, I know petrol is hard. I know petrol is hard on everyone. But what I'm saying is that if I'm to say that, you know what, let me just close my eyes, put in gas, and let me go to Pretoria and search for a deal, only to find out that that deal makes sense. When I'm saying it makes sense, I'm saying that if we will be taking money out of our bank account in that savings account that was giving us 3%, only to find out that that property will give me 20%. Let's look at it in numbers in that way. If I'm going to be putting in $300 to move 3% to that amount, it's a no-brainer. So that's how we really need to be looking at property. Yes, of course, you won't be there every time in terms of if something does break, how are you going to deal with it? But now how we counter that is that we need to be thinking about getting a management company. So when we're saying that you're getting a management company, you can get a property in KZN, not even go there, however, you're still yielding the results.
Okay, so now we have a question that do you need a certificate in order for you to become a property investor? Now let's look deeper into this, right? As a property investor, we can be viewed as a business person. In order for you to start a business, you don't really necessarily need some sort of certificate in order for you to be licensed business person, right? Now this is the same thing that goes on with property investing. If I'm going to be investing in a property, whenever I purchase a property, the estate agent doesn't ask me if I do have
license or not.
A license for being a property investor. The banks won't ask me if I have a license to be a certificate to be a property investor. So all you basically need is the cash, and on the other side you need the credit. Well, these are the two things that we really thrive on, having the cash and also the credit. So the credit would be to purchase the property, and then the cash would be for renovating the whole property. Now, in that way, you are able to actually scale your business. So the answer is no, you don't really need a certificate to become a property investor. So step number 2, right? I know we've said a lot. Step number 1 was interest rates. So step number 2 is for you to actually create relationships with estate agents.
Yeah.
Now, creating relationships with estate agents, this is one of the most easiest but hard thing to do, right? The reason why I'm saying that it's the easiest, at the same time it's the hardest thing to do, is that property investors already have spoken to estate agents like us. We already have relationships with other estate agents. Now, if they get a deal, chances are if we actually worked well with them, they would call us first before they actually put the property on the market. Now, if you coming up as a property investor, the second thing for you to do after consulting a bond originator, the second thing for you to do is to get contacts of estate agents. So what we did when we first started, we listed 30 estate agents from Property 24. After we started cold calling, we got rejections. Man, this is where you see that estate agents don't play. Some of them are like, why would I give it to you, right? That's a question. Some of them are saying that, remember the one that we called, he was like, nah, these things don't work anymore. You are living in your own land. So now those things might actually discourage you. However, if you still keep pushing, you might fall onto a deal that really makes sense. Like us right now, there is a deal that we're going to be viewing tomorrow. It is a potential deal. However, we need to go view the property and just finalize everything so that we make sure that everything's okay.
Please pray for us, man. Like, please pray, because we've been searching for a property, man. That makes sense. Hence, to me, when somebody says that, you know what, the first property that I saw on Property 24 is I'm investing in it, I asked myself, how did you get to that? Because for us, there's literally a criteria. There's formulas that we're using to check that should I be jumping into this deal or not. So if as I did ask, guys, please, we need your prayers right now so that when we come back from Boksburg, we come back with good news. It's Boksburg, right?
Yeah.